Hello everybody and welcome back to LMM. And if you're enjoying what you're seeing on the channel at the moment, then remember the links to our social media are coming up on the screen now. Today we've got a right treat for you, a piece of classic Volkswagen history. This is the Volkswagen Jetta.
What on earth are you doing?
What are you doing?
We're supposed to be reviewing this Jetta today.
Yes, this Jetta.
No, this Jetta.
The Jetta with a door that doesn't open, brilliant.
That's because I'm incompetent. But yeah, I thought we were doing this one.
No, we're doing this one. I clearly said and got this one organised.
But I was supposed to get... What are we going to do?
Well, it's only one thing to do.
I'm not giving up this one, so...
This one's blue, and you know how I feel about blue
It
cars.
does have a blue interior.
It's pretty, isn't it?
I'll review this one. You do your own thing.
I'm going to review this one. Today on LMM, we review two Jettas at once.
Shut up and get out of my way.
This is actually quite superb. Now, I've never driven one of the early Golfs. It's never been a car that's particularly appealed to me, and one of the reasons of that is it's so common. Whereas this has something different to it. Because it's got the boot, it just looks different and it feels a bit more unusual, and certainly there aren't as many on the road. I don't think I've ever actually seen one of these in the wild, or if I have, I haven't really realised what it was. Now, the point of driving this, well, from the perspective of driving, it's really, really nice. It's one of these kind of modern day classics, a classic car that's still practical and actually usable in everyday daily life. I can see myself having one of these and driving it around and be able to do things like go to the shops and actually drive it and having it as a reliable little thing.
Go on, floor it. It does want to go. This car genuinely wants to go. It wants to put a smile on your face, and for a cheap family car, what more can you ask for? It feels enjoyable to drive. It's not a sensation I can properly put into words, but it just feels so light, it feels so agile, it's eager, but it doesn't feel so razor sharp that you have to launch yourself into every corner. It's happy to take it chill at the same time as, you know, giving a little bit more.
It's so much fun. And I don't think there's been a car that we've featured on the channel yet that me and Matt have both enjoyed in equal amounts this much. Things like way back when we took the 280Z, we both liked that, and I really liked it. But to take both of these out and both to know that each other is loving it is something absolutely spectacular. And on these roads where, do you know what? I don't even know where we are, in the middle of Norfolk or Cambridgeshire or something. It's up in the Fenlands. It's just fun. It's so much fun. These roads were built for this, to trundle around on and just enjoy. It sounds so good. It's nice to have a proper carby engine. It's got a choke and everything. It's a proper car. It's a proper driving car. And it's proper good fun. Oh God, I think I want one. So what we have here are a pair of Volkswagen Golfs.
No, Jettas, Mark II Golfs with backpack.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Golf, if I stand just about here, what you have here is a Golf.
I mean, literally, we know of ones of these where the doors have been removed and then just replaced with Golf doors, and you can't tell.
Now,
it's seamless.
The Golf itself has sold quite well, and there's quite a few of those kicking around, which means that should you dent this bit, finding a replacement is possible.
Unless you're on a certain generation where you have indicators on here, because these are actually two slightly different generation cars. I mean, this one is from mid-production, and then this one is from pretty much the last year in '92.
Yeah, because this is 88.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously running, I think, the original Steely wheels, whereas you've got some aftermarket rubbish on yours.
Are they?
And admittedly, the aftermarkets on yours do make it look a lot more modern.
It does change the car a little bit, because it looks correct on Steely's, but
Yes.
then it looks special on these.
That does certainly look more special than this one. This, however, this colour, can we just appreciate it?
That colour with the interior is...
It's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, some of you guys get excited about things like Lambos and Ferraris, like our good friend German Cars. No.
Give Lawrie a faded blue Volkswagen from the 80s any day.
This is so cool. It's just wonderful. It's so blue in ways that you just don't get today. I love the colour. I love the interior. I like this.
Yeah.
Going back to the point though, if you damage that, okay, you'll probably be able to find a bit of some variation of Golf or whatever, or Jetta.
God forbid you get rear-ended.
There aren't any. If that gets damaged, you, sir, are royally up a creek without a paddle.
Unless you have another one lying about.
Yeah, if you happen to have two, you're probably fine. Or say you've got a mate who's got one who won't notice if you start stealing bits off it. That's a very useful thing. So, top tip from LMM. If you have a classic car...
Make sure you know people who also have them so you can steal parts.
Yes, like we do with our MR2s. Looking at them, they are actually quite striking. It's got this familiar lines that we're all familiar with.
What, you mean a box?
Well, yeah, everybody knows.
It's a 3-box car, isn't it?
It's box. Everybody
The
knows
episode
this
was
generation of Golf. And even to people, okay, for me, so some of you modern kids who are down with technology and stuff, you think of Golf and you see that great bus-like machine that drives around the road and has lots of buttons that means it drives itself. Yeah. When I think of Golf, I think of this generation. This is what a Golf is to me. Until you add on this bit at the back.
The backpack.
Yeah, the backpack. And I love that as terminology, and I hope that's what they called it when they came up with the concept of this as the backpack is a Golf with a backpack.
And the Scirocco is a Golf with a bit cut off the back.
Because they're basically the same thing, right? They're the same car.
Volkswagen found a good platform for a car and was like, this is brilliant, why should we make anything different? Let's just give people different bodies, which you don't really get anymore, do you?
You don't, no, not at all. You don't get that kind of, well, you don't really get good cars full stop, do they?
Well,
you don't find a good platform. I don't think I've driven a car for a while that has this kind of grin factor on. And looking back in my rear view, I can see that Matt is equally loving this thing. It's just got such an amazing character. It's fun. It wants to go. There are some cars which they're not particularly spectacular on paper, and when you look at them, they're not jaw-droppingly beautiful or jaw-droppingly exciting, and they don't inspire speed. But then you get in it, and you just grin from ear to ear from the moment you put your bum on the seat to the moment you get out. And this is one of those cars. Just everything about it is just joyful. This is what driving is all about. A car like this, it is the joy of driving. They're just really good fun. I cannot believe that they don't have the same kind of following like the Golf does. Because, let's be honest, this is every bit as good as a Golf. But it's better because you can put stuff in the boot. As a result of that less desirability of it, it means the prices haven't been weirdly inflated. This particular example that I'm driving now cost the owner £2,000. For a practical classic car, a drivable classic car, that's actually really good money, whereas a comparative Golf would cost many, many times that. I don't even know how much they are, apart from they're just expensive. And frankly, I don't think it's worth paying the extra money for a Golf. I don't see what you get over this.
One big difference between the Golf and this car, apart from the rucksack it's carrying, was in fact the interior, which was meant to be a little bit more premium and luxury for a more discerning family customer. So everything in here is a really nice material, it all feels really solid and well built, and it just looks stunning. It's such a nice place to be. Now, one of the issues they had between the Mark I and the Mark II Jetta was that, well, everyone thought the Mark I Jetta was just a little bit too small. So what they did for the Mark II is basically inflated it by just 2 or 3 inches in every single direction. And you might think that sounds like absolutely nothing, but because of the cube law, it's about 16% bigger inside, and it really does feel airy in here, like I am not lacking space in any way, shape or form. One other benefit the Mark II Jetta had over both the Golf and the Mark I Jetta was that because it was a little bit bigger everywhere, they were able to put an extra seat in, which makes this officially a 5-seat vehicle instead of a 4-seat one, which, when you've got a family, it actually makes a monstrous difference.
One of the things I really love about this is, as you know, I like a proper old school binnacle, and this one is no exception. First of all, the thing around it, the surround, is square, and I like that. It just screams very 80s to me, and I like it. But the single greatest thing are all my warning lights and all my indicators. So when the indicators flash, battery discharge, they're all a tiny LED styled light in there. Not a modern LED, it's just a tiny bulb that illuminates, and there's a little cluster in the middle, and it just feels so like it's trying to be modern and digital, and not. But it's got everything I need. There is a digital clock, which is currently telling me that it's 4 minutes past midnight. I've got a rev counter, I've got a speedo, fuel gauge and a temperature gauge, and frankly, what more do you need? It's got everything I've ever wanted, and it's just that lovely, I don't know what it is about this car, it's just a style that I really get behind, and I like. And I like all these nice big chunky buttons, everything's just easily reachable, and it's just good. I can't tell you how just pleasantly good it is to drive a proper car. Everything just where you need to be, a steering wheel uncluttered with rubbish, and it does have this nice cheeky Volkswagen logo, which is kind of nice in there as well. The only thing that this really is lacking to make it a perfect car to trundle about in is there's no poxy radio. And you know what? As much as I like the exhaust on this, I would get tired on a long journey of not having the banging beats.
So, unlike Lawrie, I actually have a sunroof. It's a little bit weird as you don't get quite that much buffeting from it because it's got one of those little pop-up strips, but rather annoyingly, the handle doesn't actually sit back facing forwards and just kind of flops about in the air here, so you have to stop it a little bit short. Apart from that though, I'm a little bit miffed because Laurie's actually got the car I wanted to drive, and not just because it has a lovely blue interior, but because he actually has a rev counter. Where my Speedo is, like all 80s and 90s cars, someone decided to put a giant analog clock instead. And apart from that, the rest of the dash is lovely to look at, but there's something about looking at a clock on your dash which says, I did not buy the sporty model. I also have a radio on, like Laurie's weird blanking plate there, but apart from that, they feel fairly the same, although I think my hazards are in a slightly different place. There's a lot of really weird small changes between the years which don't really make that much sense. And this one also has an incredibly strange option I've never seen on a car before. It has a ski bag holder. Now I know ski bag holder is not exactly what you'd normally option on a car, and I can't think of why anyone would have done it on this one, but apparently it's a sock which goes into your rear. I don't know.
With the bonnets open, or hoods for you American fellows, of the two cars, we find the exact same 1.8 litre engine and the same gearbox.
Yeah, they did do some other different engines. I mean, they had everything from a 1 litre up to the 1.8 and 1.3 or 1.6, and even the 16 valve, which is the spicy version of the 1.8.
Oh yeah, which was cool. There was also the 1 litre, which was useless.
Well, yeah, no one's going to buy a 1 litre car. I mean, can you imagine this with a 1 litre automatic? It would be awful.
They did do an automatic, but I don't know if anyone actually sold them, well, actually bought them, and I don't know if anybody who did buy one would still have one today, because
it would have gone in the bin a long time ago.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you could get a 4-speed though instead of a 5-speed, which is normally a more budget option for the 1.3 cars.
But same engine, so you could have a same engine but a smaller, a less geary gearbox. Yeah. Why would anybody choose that?
There are some other differences as well. I mean, like your carburetor is a manual choke, whereas this, being a slightly later model, has the auto choke on it.
Oh, that's true. But apart from that, they're the same.
Well, no, not exactly. I mean, mine's got a blue wash fluid bottle.
Apart from that,
you haven't got a sphere. I've got a globe. Where's your globe?
Apart from
my pipe is stripy over here as well, and my heater matrix has quality duct taping on it, unlike yours.
Mine's original.
And I've got a better battery. mine says Lion on it, therefore it's better.
Apart from that,
They are pretty similar.
they're pretty similar.
That's blue on mine.
The things I do like about this, have you finished? Things I do like about this is looking like...
Where's your sphere?
I don't know where my sphere is. It was obviously missing. It was
I've got another sphere.
It was lack of sear day when they built this. I like the slightly on the side radiator in there.
Yeah, the little canted angle of it.
It's just cool. I don't know why.
The first time I saw it, because the mount for it is actually all the way back, I thought one was broken and had a ding. But then you look at it again and you go, no, it's meant to be on a very slight angle.
I thought the same until I saw yours. And unless they both had a whack at the same point, they say it's a nice...
Very common crash point.
Yes, it just happens to be the front end. Doesn't do anything to the front trim, but just knocks the rad back.
Yeah.
I like things like this, though, because it's, again, this looks like it was designed for a bigger engine. In fact, there was a 2-litre version for South Africa. But it's accessible, everything in this, and this is my big gripe with modern cars, everything here you can get to. If it breaks down in the middle of nowhere, you'll be able to put your hand in with a cable tie and put it back together again.
I'm pretty sure you could change an alternator belt on these in a handful of minutes. I mean, it's there.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is like, you can just reach down there, you can get your oil filter, that's just there. There's an oil filter for the gearbox, I think that's the oil filter anyway. There's a thingy down there anyway.
Yeah. You can access all your gearbox linkages.
It's not an oil filter, that's the starter motor.
Oh, that's quite different.
It's black and like slightly oily. But everything you could do, I don't think, apart from to drain the oil, everything else on this, I think you could just service just by going there. And everything you could just fix by going there. It's, again, from that kind of era of car that you could just...
work on it yourself, yeah.
Oh, it's great. I love engine bays like this. Coming round here, we get this. And this is the thing that makes it a Jetta.
The rucksack of the Golf.
Yes, exactly. Now, this thing here is huge. In fact, they say that you could probably fit an entire body in there and not notice.
This is basically why they sold in America, because over there they liked full-size sedans, and this had a boot bigger than most American contemporaries. The only problem was is that obviously you couldn't actually get through from the boot into the passenger compartment because the seats don't fold down like in a normal hatchback.
Which is a small problem, which means that if you were to climb in there and someone was to shut the boot,
there's basically no way out.
And modern American cars have a little toggle inside so you can release the boot and get out. Things like this, no. If you were in there, you'd be stuck in there.
No, not in a European car.
No, but it is huge, and it means that you could legitimately, in this, take your whole family away, put everything into here, and go away on holiday, which was a huge step over things like the Golf, which are fine for driving around, going to the shops, but you can't really load up your whole family and take it away on a big trip.
I want to point out, though, that you can't actually take this skiing, whereas I can take mine skiing instead.
Skiing?
Skiing, yes. You can't take this on a skiing holiday. Mine you can, though. Mine's perfect for it.
I have so many questions and so many issues with this, but tell me for why.
I'll show you. This is what I was talking about. This is why I get to go skiing. Look at this magnificent creation. So you put your skis in the boot and they go all the way through into your cab. So you can. This is a better holiday car. And I will also point out that I do, as much as I like for your blue, there's something about this grey, cream and black. Why are you so surprised by this?
This is a UK car. Who in their right mind
expects
that in the UK?
This is the weirdest option I have ever seen on a UK automobile. Yeah.
Do you know what else is weird about this car?
Yeah.
You know how normally with a car, you adjust the back of it like that and you can move it forward and backwards?
Yeah. Oh yes, this is the thing. We used to think everyone driving a VW always used to sit with their seat like this,
because
slouched
they were
down.
like certain type of person who sat with their seat way back down and drove like that.
That's just how they work.
These don't move. The whole thing tilts up and down. So if you're like us and relatively tall, in order to get the extra legroom, because these don't go back that far,
you have to lean back like this.
Oh, that just means you can't sit in it. It's ridiculous.
I do like my radio though. That's what I'm putting out.
Oh, you've got to work it. Does it work?
I don't know. I didn't push any buttons. I assume not.
Thinking of pushing, foot pedals.
Yeah, so I actually thought the pedals were a little bit vague at first. I've gotten used to them by now, but when I'm getting going, they still feel a little bit...
It's an old, I think because it's carby, yours is auto, but mine's manual choke.
Yeah.
There's a bit of almost a delay with a carb. It just feels, I don't know, it feels a bit delayed on that. I tell you what I don't like though, gearbox. I don't like the gears.
I didn't hate my gearbox. My gearbox actually works. So
mine
yeah.
feels really floaty. I don't
Floaty. So it's like when you're like go forwards into third, like you can still shift between all the other gears.
It's like
somewhat.
that. It's like you just don't really feel that you're definitely going into one particular gear.
Mine feels perfect. So.
Well, maybe it's just yours is a. No, it's the same gearbox.
Yeah, but this is a much later car.
Yes.
So.
Although I think this one's the current owner's fourth owner of this. And the other one, the blue one, he's the second.
Yeah, so that was bought from new and has only just been purchased as a classic car. So for 30 years, that was a daily car, and now it is. There's something special about that, having your first one. What's on?
It's cool.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Stop in midair. No, keep going. There you go.
Why? Stupid design.
One thing I really like about this are these door handles. They've got like a trigger behind them, which is glorious.
It does feel like you're operating a firearm when you pull them.
It does.
It's very definitive two-finger trigger pull.
It's a proper mechanism. It's proper cool. Now, I don't care what you say about that one. This one is superior in every single way for just being blue everywhere.
I quite like the blue interior, I've got to be honest.
Nice. It's got this lovely little bit of chrome running across there.
Yeah, and you've got this nice dark but desaturated blue on the dash, and then the slightly lighter blue. It looks fantastic. It genuinely does.
This really feels kind of premium for an older car.
Yeah.
It just feels wonderfully, excellently premium. I'm so in love with it.
I can't imagine them making a car nowadays with this colour interior. Though.
No, not at all.
There's blue carpets in it as well.
Everything's blue. It's wonderful. If you like blue, this is the car for you. If you're not a fan of blue, possibly it's not so much your kind of thing.
But you quite like the steering wheel as well.
I love the steering wheel. Yeah. I love the dash. I love the buttons. I love the layout. I love where everything is.
All of these big buttons, which make me just think of like, I'm meant to push this with gloves on.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? Because it feels almost oddly refined in some ways.
Yeah.
Which it shouldn't be for what the market was of this car.
I do want to point out this is definitely not a refined car because of the amount of switches which aren't actually switches in this vehicle.
It has several blanking plates. There are lots of options you could have had with this. Like as I mentioned, the radio is definitely an option that you probably should have been able to have.
What annoys me about these blanking plates though is they look exactly identical to the switches just without a sticker on them.
Yes,
so you can't tell.
You would have thought if you had a blanking plate you could have had one that was flush rather than one that was kind of built on top of it, but never mind.
I do want to point out something fantastic about this vehicle which we've not touched on.
What's that?
Because it's normally a big issue for us. They work.
Oh yeah, it has
the normal seat belts.
Yeah, they're not added in, they work, they don't slide down, they're proper seat belts. It's again, perfectly usable, modern classic, it's brilliant. Driving this does take me back to that bygone age of cars, where everything feels kind of, not flimsy, but I'm very aware that I don't have a very thick door. I'm aware that the door's not big, I'm aware the A-pillars are quite small, and I'm also acutely aware of the total lack of airbag or anything. That said, when it came out, this had a remarkably large 3 stars on its safety rating, which, when we factor into today's system, is basically nothing. In the day, it crashed well. Today, no, it just wouldn't. But it feels nice. You feel connected to it. It feels proper. And it's one thing I like about old cars like this is you just feel like you are really driving it. Whereas modern stuff just feels like you're a passenger. I'm pointing it in the same direction. The suspension on this thing is also wonderfully soft. It's akin to just driving around on a sofa. These seats are quite nice and comfortable. I mean, they don't hold you on the road like, a sports car, but that's not what this is. It's just very much a family car. It's soft, the seats are comfortable, and it goes. And you know what? At going, it's not bad. You have to really work the little engine. But when you do, it's really, really good.
So Lawrie keeps going on about just how soft this car is and how it's like driving a big sofa, and I completely disagree. It's comfortable, and I'll give him that. The suspension's incredibly compliant, but it is by no means soft. The handling every time you go into a corner feels so precise, so sharp, and from what I understand, it's what everyone thinks about this era of Volkswagen, of all the Golfs and the Jettas they drive. But it's not just the handling. Everything about this car puts such a huge smile on my face. I've always wanted an old school VW, but this has just cemented it in my mind. The interior, how it looks, how it feels, how it handles, all of it is absolutely perfect. I can see why these sold so well. Well, over here they didn't sell that well. In fact, we only really got the 4-door variant, whereas in America you also got the 2-door variant as well. But that was partly because over here, well, if you were going to buy a small family car, you bought yourself a Golf. If you're going to buy a bigger car, you got yourself a Passat. And this kind of fell in the wayside everywhere apart from America, where they really like the sedan body style and having a big old boot in the back, which this really does.
The only gripe I have with this is the seating position, is this kind of lean back thing. There is no actual support to be able to push myself forward, because I'd like to be somewhere like here rather than this angle. But, you know, I'll take it. I can't complain. It's just been designed in such a way that I feel that it just suits it. It's just, I look at this and I sit in it and I totally understand what this car is for. And it's rare for me to get into a car and go, no, I understand it. But this, it surpasses what it was designed for, even as something that was made as a family car. Family cars aren't meant to make you smile like this. You look at anything from today, you look for anything like from VW today, and it doesn't make you smile like this. No, this is a proper good car. And possibly, really, it was kind of after this point where things started to go wrong for, well, everybody, and cars started to get more safe and less fun. And they started being designed by people at a computer rather than a person with a pencil and a big sheet of paper. I think really that's where everything's gone wrong. Perhaps this is one of the last really good everyday cars. So guys, that brings us to the end. Us attempting to review two separate cars in one go, which I think has been a resounding success.
Apart from the fact it's got dark, it took us so long to do.
It has. We may have enjoyed these cars a little bit too much, and a bit too much of kind of mucking around.
There's a lot of nice roads around here, and we spent a little bit too long on them, so.
These cars are genuinely brilliant. I can't stress it enough. They're really good fun, they drive really nicely, and they're practical. And also, if you want something that's kind of practical, classic, and also slightly unusual, you don't want to join all the Minis, Golfs, or whatever else is common,
get a Jetta.
They're great. You don't see them, they're good. They're brilliant. So a massive thank you to the owner for letting us come down and take out two of his pride and joys.
Both owned by one person. That
Yes.
says something about the man.
That shows that the man is obviously quite fond of these particular cars. And there's nothing wrong with that, because they're brilliant. And with that, guys, thank you very much for watching. We really hope you've enjoyed this one. Let us know if you want to see more stuff like this, or what you'd like to know, or what you'd like to see in the comments. And of course, if you haven't already, give us a like and subscribe. And if you have enjoyed watching us, well, actually I'm not going to do that because that wouldn't work, would it?
Yeah, it's fine.
GV.
Yeah, GV there. I'm going home, it's cold.
It's getting cold. Now, my thought is, if we drive now, because he's still over there, probably won't miss them.
No, I reckon we could get home. So we'll take him out tomorrow, we'll tell him that.
I'm not going to.